This unique looking Hall effect keyboard is the Nuphy 75HE. Nuphy is a brand known for making great keyboards, and this is their answer to the new Hall effect trend. This one, however, has a unique feature that sets it apart from the Hall effect competition. You can now switch between 3 different custom profiles with this switch. So why is that important? Well, with Hall effect keyboards, when you set a low actuation point on your keys, while great for gaming, it ruins your regular typing experience because your keys are so sensitive and result in a lot more typing errors. You can of course change your profile in the app of your keyboard, but it gets annoying having to repeat this process every time. With this switch though, you can easily change from a profile suitable for gaming to a profile that's suitable for everyday typing experience. You can also set profiles for different games that you play. In League of Legends, I want to set actuation points for the QWER keys, but for Counter-Strike, I want to set actuation points for the AWST keys. What I ended up with is 3 different custom profiles for regular typing, FPS and RTS, and I can instantly switch between them, which is super convenient. The rest of the design on the keyboard is also very unique. There is a volume knob that acts as a mute button when pressed, another switch that changes between the different RGB modes when pressed, and also controls the brightness when turned. There are 8 G keys on the side and bottom of the keyboard that can be customized, but you are limited to the customization options in the web app. There's also a carrying handle, height adjustment at the bottom, and some rubber feet so the keyboard doesn't move around. This keyboard is unfortunately built out of plastic, but it doesn't feel cheap. There is no flexing on the keyboard deck unless you put a lot of weight on it. But it does fall short of the competition a little bit because every Hall effect keyboard that I've reviewed has had an aluminium construction which is more sturdy and feels more premium. The gaming on this keyboard though is impressive. It has an 8000 Hz polling rate, which is much higher than the 1000 Hz on most Hall effect keyboards. This is meant to provide a more responsive experience, but honestly the latency is already so low on these keyboards that I can barely tell a difference between 8000 and 1000. The actuation travel on the magnetic switches is from 1 to 4 millimeters, and rapid trigger is also available. One complaint that I have is the key press is on the softer side. Sometimes you don't actually feel like you are pressing anything. This is not a deal breaker, especially if you're just gaming on it, but I would have liked a bit more feel on the keys. You can also get these with different switches from the ones I received, but I'm not sure if that would be much different to this. I should also mention that Nuphy is planning on providing OSCD in the future, which is a feature that has been very popular but controversial. It is great to see that they are keeping up with the trends though. So how is the typing experience? And in one word, I would say it's okay. The switches on the keyboard have a very light feel, which gives less feedback, and accidental key presses happen more often, which is annoying for typing sessions. One thing to note is that when you do get used to the typing on this keyboard, the accidental key presses become less frequent. And some people might prefer a softer key press anyway, so it does come down to personal preference as well. Something that did surprise me though is how well the bigger keys are stabilized. They sound and feel very solid when pressed. The feel of the bigger keys is better than every Hall effect keyboard I've tested, but it is let down by the overall soft typing experience. Here's a sound test. Nuphy does provide an optional wrist rest with their keyboards. While it does look great, I don't think it's the most comfortable. There is a piece of metal at the base that makes your hand very cold and uncomfortable when resting on it. And the overall glass build gets a lot of scratches, so I think that a softer material would be a better choice here. Nuphy has looked at the competition and also made a web app instead of a traditional software install, which people seem to prefer. I did find an issue with their app though. As I mentioned earlier, you have 3 different profiles you can switch from. I decided to create a profile for typing, one for FPS games, and another for RTS games. The default for the first profile is set to Mac, but theoretically I should be able to change the Option key to act as the Win key on my keyboard. However, for some reason, every time I drag the Win key option to the Option key to replace it, it changes it to the Mac equivalent of the Win key, which is Command. and that does not bring up my windows when I press it. The same is also true for the third profile, which is not fully customizable. I think that this should be something that they can fix in a software update, but it is a bit annoying and it defeats the purpose of having multiple profiles on the keyboard. I'm also not sure if it's a problem that I'm having or everyone has. The rest of the software works really well though. You can easily set actuation settings, and there is even a little animation demonstrating how the settings that you choose would affect the key. The rapid trigger settings are also here and easy to turn on. I was able to easily select the keys I wanted to change and leave the rest to default, which is convenient. There's also a page to change the RGB settings on the keyboard, which work pretty well. Overall, I think that the Nuphy Field 75HE is a great Hall effect keyboard with some features that set it apart from the competition. You can easily change between 3 different profiles by moving a switch, and you have 8 customizable buttons which can be useful. The Hall effect feature and the gaming performance on this keyboard are also great. The 8000 Hz polling rate with the softer linear switches makes you feel faster in games than other keyboards. However, I do have some complaints about this keyboard. Firstly, while the plastic build quality here is great and solid, it's still falling behind the competition, which is using aluminum. And yet, these aluminum keyboards are expected to be more durable and feel more premium as well. The first and third profile modes have a bug that prevents you from fully customizing it to the way you want it, which is kind of a deal breaker, and I hope they fix in a future update. And finally, the magnetic white switches on the model that I have are a bit on the softer side and don't give much feedback when pressing them, so I strongly suggest getting the magnetic jade switches instead. If Nuphy fixes the bugs with the profiles not being fully customizable, I think that for $200, this is a great Hall effect keyboard with some unique options. However, with the switches that I have on this, it's primarily a gaming keyboard and I would not recommend them for typing. I cannot speak on the Jade switches though, as I have not tested them yet. If you have any questions about this keyboard, leave them in the comment section below, and I promise I'll get back to you. As always, I hope you enjoyed this video and learned something from it. Thank you for watching.